Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. We got a great show of sports betting information lined up for you all. We got Mark Zinno right off the bat. He's going to take a look at a crucial series between the San Diego Padres and the Pittsburgh Pirates, both teams in the wild card hunt. He's also going to take a look at NC State in college football. Their win-loss on the season is 8.5. Will it go over? Will it go under? Mark will take apart that. Brian Power will look at the Red Sox and the Royals. Big win by Boston yesterday. College football as well. Indiana over or under 5.5 wins on the season. And we're going to end the show with Adam Trigger. He's going to look at the White Sox and the Oakland game and an NFLX bet for us between the Colts and the Broncos. This is the best daily sports betting show on the planet. I'm back from a few days at the cottage, raring to go. Teddy Covers is my co-host, back in the chair. What is your big game breakdown?
We're going to talk some NFL, a preseason week 1 football, break down the Lions and the Giants Thursday night. NFLX action with my big game breakdown. And for what it's worth, my What Bettors Learned today is probably the single most important What Bettors Learned that I've ever done on this show. Stay tuned. We'll do that about 15 minutes from now.
Now that's the lead. Mark Zinno, everyone. Mark, how's your summer been?
It's going well there, Prez. Finally got my house fixed after some plumbing things derailed the home for 5 months, but I'm back in a brand new home. So kids have started school already here in Georgia, which is weird. It's very short summers in Georgia, very short summers.
When does it end? When does school end there?
About a week before Memorial Day. So I don't know. I'd rather than be in school till June and get all of August off. Like I still feel like I'm in summer mode, but now it's back to school, so my schedule changes because the kids' schedule changes. So, but more time to relax.
So are you implying that the Georgian people need more education because they're dumb, or they're just so damn smart because they get more education?
I'm arguing that their archaic draconian methods in which they choose to educate young children probably needs to be relooked at.
Okay, Mark Zinno, running for government in Georgia. Okay, brother, let's get into it. We got the Padres playing Pittsburgh, and I mean, both of these teams, Pittsburgh 4 games out of the wild card. The Padres literally tied right now. Huge game for both teams. How do we bet this one?
Well, Dylan Cease has been absolutely on fire over the course of the last month. Guys, since his July 7th start, he's only given up 4 earned runs total in 5 starts. That includes 2 one-hitters and a no-hitter. So he has continued to be just something insane right now. A lot of people may think he's primed for some aggression. I personally don't. This is a spot here where I'm going to attack Dylan Cease in the first 5, lay the half run with the San Diego Padres because they're going up against a Pittsburgh team that just isn't very good on offense. They don't hit all that well. Sorry, Dave Sherapan, if you're watching and listening. This is just not an offense that's all that potent. And they're also going up against Bailey Falter, who is a pitcher that I don't mind fading. His expected ERA is near 5. He's performed better than what his numbers would say that he actually is here. And even if Falter has a decent start, and the Padres aren't on their toes here offensively, I don't think Cease gives up more than 1 run to this Pirates offense, so they only need 2. Padres score more on the road rather than they do at home. Although it's not as high against left-handers on the road as it is versus right-handers, I'm still going to back this Padres team on the road here because that's where they've really made their bread this entire season here. So you get an ace starter on the mound for San Diego against a below-average lineup in Pittsburgh here. Probably, also may look at a first 5 under here, but I'm willing to lay the half run with the Padres in this spot here, given Cease is on the mound, because I don't think the Pittsburgh Pirates can touch him.
Mark, I asked Teddy if I can quickly jump in and throw a follow-up at you, and this is really an ode to Teddy, if you will. He likes to argue, and I'm going to do that now. So the Pittsburgh Pirates, bats are silent, yet they've put up 5-4, 8-4, 6-5, 6-5, 3-5. in the last 10 games. Do we have a different definition of an offense that's struggling to score?
I mean, they have the 5th fewest runs scored at home on the entire season. It's a macro level picture. Are they heating up right now? Maybe. This is still a bottom 10 team in offense when it comes to batting average, when it comes to OPS, NWRC plus, those metric categories that I look at. This is also a team that is 11th in strikeout rate at home. That's probably not a good thing against Dylan Cease, who has close to 30 strikeouts over his last 4 starts. So if you have a high strikeout rate against a guy like Cease, I'm going to lean on him because he's going to have the edge over a team, even if they are scoring runs. So even if Pittsburgh over the last week or so has been hot, it's a neutralizing factor. Go look at the Cubs last night against David Testa. That was a strikeout prop that I played for Testa, over 4.5, over 5.5. He had 9 Ks in 5 innings. The Cubs are a high strikeout rate team. They had been scoring over the last week. They run into a pitcher who's a high K rate pitcher. Edge always goes to the pitcher in that spot.
And Cease certainly has been in tremendous current form. Mark Zinno says take San Diego over Pittsburgh and lay the half run rather than lay minus 180 for the first 5. If you lay a half run, it's minus 125. Let's talk some college football. I'm a Dave Doran fan. I think with your opinion on the NC State Wolfpack this year, maybe you're a Dave Doran fan as well. Talk to me about the Wolfpack and what you expect to see from NC State in 2024, a team lined over under 8.5 wins.
Well, you mentioned Dave Doran. He's been there for 10 years now. He's never had a 10-win season. He's had 4 9-win seasons in his time there. This may be the year that he gets to 10 wins. Now, what happened in the ACC more than anything? You inject a couple of Pac-12 teams in there and it changes schedule. So when you look at the top 25 teams that are there, this becomes a very favorable schedule here for the Wolfpack because they're going to face 2 top 25 teams. Of the ACC top 25 teams they're going to face, Clemson is the only one. The non-top 25 team they're going to face is Tennessee. Now, that's in week 2. That's a neutral site game, guys. Where is that neutral site? Happens to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, just down the road from Raleigh, North Carolina. I know Clemson isn't that far away either, but nonetheless, it's not exactly like, it's going to be a pro-Clemson crowd. You'll get plenty of NC State fans there as well. But after Tennessee in week 2 and at Clemson in week 4, which is probably going to be a loss, their schedule sets up very nicely, guys. Their other 3 road games at Cal, at Georgia Tech, and at North Carolina. The rest of their home games, Western Carolina, Louisiana Tech, Northern Illinois, non-conference, Wake Forest, Syracuse, Stanford, and Duke are the rest of their home games. This is a revamped offense here for Dave Doran. What did they do, guys, in the transfer portal? Went out and got Grayson McCall, 3-time Sun Belt Player of the Year, and a quarterback who can absolutely sling it, guys. And then you pair him with a wide receiver group that's probably the deepest position group on the team. Talent across the boards. Sophomore stud Casey Concepcion goes from there. Noah Rogers, Dakari Collins. There's going to be a lot of places to throw the football. They get Jordan Waters, the running back transfer from Duke, for a Wolfpack team that had over 2,000 rushing yards and 19 touchdowns last year. This is an offense I expect to be really good, underratedly good in an ACC that isn't necessarily loaded with a ton of great defenses here, guys. So I think the schedule sets up favorably after Tennessee. And I really do believe that may be a coin flip kind of game, all things considered. After Tennessee loses Joe Milton, they're on a new quarterback now as well. That game may be close. I would give the Wolfpack a chance to win that game. But they probably lose to Clemson. After that, guys, as long as they stay healthy, Grayson McCall plays to the level that we think he can, despite the jump up in conference play. This is an NC State team, I think, that not only wins 9, probably wins 10 this year, even if you include the bowl games. So this is a spot here for NC State that I really like. Schedule sets up favorably, giving the Wolfpack over 8.5 total wins.
So you talked a lot about NC State on the offensive side of the football. You talked about their schedule. I want to ask about the defensive side of the football for the Wolfpack. This is a team that grew their linebackers. They lost a guy who had, 17 and a half tackles for loss last year. Concerns in the secondary for NC State. Is this defense good enough to be elite in a conference where even with all the concerns about the ACC, there's still a good handful of potent offense they're going to have to face this season? Is the Wolfpack defense good enough?
I mean, look, this is Dave Dorian's bread and butter, right? I mean, they've defensive line-wise, NC State has always seemed to produce talent. Peyton Wilson goes to the NFL last year. Davin Van going to be a guy that they're going to look to up front. They get Colorado transfer Chaz Wallace in the mix too as well. But they're always going to be good up front. Their linebacking core may have some questions about them, but it's a veteran group. These are guys that have been together for a couple of years, so you hope they could take that next step forward. Plenty of depth in the defensive secondary. How good are these guys? Probably remains to be seen a little bit. But it's also one of these things here, Teddy, that if their offense is as good as I expect, I don't need their defense to be super great. Just need them to be good enough, when it comes to winning. And we're not necessarily talking about covering spreads and things of that nature, just winning football games. Their defense is going to be good enough and make enough stops that if their offense puts up the points that I think they will, that I expect them to, that their defense doesn't have to be stellar. It doesn't have to be a Clemson-level defense, but as long as they are above average, I think they're good enough here to complement this offense to 9 or more wins.
Mark Zinno joining us, everyone. Exclusive handicapper at WagerTalk.com. And Mark's got a big play going today. He's got a 5% MLB play. As we've discussed on the show, these 5% plays are our highest rated plays that we give out at WagerTalk. Mark is currently on a 7-0 run in baseball. Nicely done, Mark. 8-1 in your last 6 days. Tell us why we should bet this play.
Just a situational spot with a very good team that I believe has got the right starter on the mound tonight. Not only that, with the 5% play, guys, also got a 4% play that I really love. I mean, it was just two plays that jumped off the board at me tonight. Continuing on this run here of 7-0, as you mentioned, 8-1 in the last 6 days. So seeing the board well, we'll hope it continues tonight. But 5% best bet play, locked and loaded over at the site, guys.
Mark Zinno, everyone. Mark, you read books?
A lot of them.
Have you been reading any of the Jack Carr novels?
No, I stick to like military history and factual. Like I need stuff that's historically based and factual. I don't really get into many fiction style books. It's just not my thing.
Well, if you like military history, I highly recommend Rogue Heroes. It's a book on Donald Sterling and the formation of the special service, the special forces in World War II. Spectacular book. First real special forces group in the world. So unbelievable book. Read Rogue Heroes. It's awesome. Anyway, Mark Zinno, everyone, thanks for joining us, my friend. Teddy, I got a bunch to talk about. Let's start, before you get into your big game breakdown, with the fact that it is $2 Tuesday over at Wager Talk. And really, guys, if you've never purchased a play at Wager Talk before, every Tuesday we pick one handicapper and we make them the $2 feature play. You get their play for only $2. Teddy has a 5% big ticket in NFLX. Last season, he was 8-2 in preseason football. Teddy, when does this play go off?
Goes off on Saturday. So you'll have a couple of days after you buy it today, but get it for $2 right now. It is and I wasn't planning on putting out a 5-star selection. I was selected for $2 Tuesday, and I'm sitting there. All right, let's see what we can find early in the week. And we found something really good, and the more we dug, the more we liked it. So yeah, it's absolutely worthy of a 5% big ticket wager, and it'll go on Saturday. So get it now for $2 and prepare to cash.
And it's comes with a 10-0 angle, and just finding out that angle is worth $2 because these angles are something you can write down and keep in your back pocket moving forward. So guys, please take advantage of that. Teddy covers. You said you have the most important what did bettors learn in history of the world. What is it?
No, not in the history of the world, but in the history of this show, probably. We have to talk about the DraftKings proposed surcharge. Okay. If you missed the news last week, DraftKings is planning a tax on consumers in states with the highest sports betting tax rates. Those states, Illinois, New York, Pennsylvania, Vermont. Starting January 1st, 2025, DraftKings announced that they're going to implement a, quote, gaming surcharge on winning bets in states with multiple betting operators and where the tax rate is above 20%. This came as the DraftKings released their second quarter earnings on their earnings call, which marked the first time they were ever profitable as a public company in their history. Jason Robbins, quote, "We decided the best course of action is to do what really every other industry does, whether it's hotels, taxis, whatever else you buy generally has some kind of a tax. If you made a $10 bet to win $20, you would pay like 30 cents, citing an example. I do think if states start to realize that above a certain level, we can't invest in our product and customer experience the way we need to, it might make them think differently about it. Quote, we're not going to hide it. Obviously, we could see some customers drop off and player betting activity if they don't like it. All right. He said the surcharge is, quote, nominal. Again, if you make a $10 bet to win $20, you would pay like 30 cents on your winning bet. First of all, you don't make a $10 bet to win 20. You'd make an $11 bet to win 21, and you pay a little bit more than 30 cents. Secondly, all right, this is an absolute disaster for sports bettors. This is a big news, and this is big problem. Okay? It's literally the difference between a thriving, healthy U.S. betting market and a not so much with all the money rolling offshore again.
Yep.
Nominal surcharge is as BS a concept as I come across in my 27 years in Vegas. This has to fail. It has to fail. We cannot have other operators copying. Vegas, one operator started going with resort fees and parking fees. Next thing you know, a year later, everyone's got resort fees and parking fees. It'll happen real fast if they succeed. So it's up to us. We have to say this nominal surcharge on winning bets is bullshit. DK is officially public enemy number one for sports bettors moving forward until proven otherwise. We have to show them that this will affect their bottom line. So I'm going to start here now. Oh, and yes, by the way, you have to pay real tax on your winnings if you're a net winner in sports betting. It's called income tax. So as far as I'm concerned, DraftKings right now, there's one answer. Boycott. We don't bet there anymore. End of what bettors learned. Lawrence, back to you, my friend.
Public service announcement, everybody. Teddy spoke on his behalf and not on the behalf of WagerTalk. In case anybody at DraftKings is listening, this is Teddy's opinion, not WagerTalk's.
My opinion only.
With that said, wow. 52.4% is a winner in is a break-even sports bettor. Almost nobody on a regular basis gets to 55, 56, 57 on over a long period of time. That surtax is ultimately going to be the difference between winning and losing. It is a horrific idea. I am not suggesting an overall boycott of the company. Everyone must do what they want. However, maybe the suggestion would be if you withdraw your money, you pay a small surcharge. I don't know. I will say this. Way to do it after your first quarter of being profitable. It took you so long to get profitable, and then you shot yourself in the foot. I'm in shock over that, Teddy. And the first thing that came to mind when you were talking was, oh, the offshore books are licking their chops, bro. Is minus 110, is that 10 cents not a surcharge in and of itself? I don't understand what DraftKings are doing, but I will tell you, if it doesn't work for them, they ultimately will change it back. And now I'm getting a Russell deck. Prez, come on, say it. It blows. Yes, it blows. And yes, it's a terrible thing for all sports bettors. I'm going to stay out of boycotts and whatnot. Teddy covers real quick. Yeah, you do, brother.
Okay. I will not bet at DraftKings. I will advise everyone I talk to, do not bet at DraftKings until this policy changes. And especially when we start getting closer, because it's going to come into effect in January. All right, just in time for the NFL playoffs. And between now and then, there's not like to be as much buzz. But when this comes out, we got to yell, scream, raise our arms, make a fit. All right, throw an absolute fit. Everyone pulls their money out that says, this is why I'm pulling my money out. It's a bullshit move. Nobody's done it in the history of legalized sports betting. And DK is just literally trying to steal more money from us. It's a steal. They're stealing it. It's a theft. I clearly have a strong opinion. It's my opinion. It is not the WagerTalk opinion. But this is important. Don't underestimate how important this test case is, because it's huge. And if we see this everywhere, it's a huge problem for everybody. So we got to band together and say, we ain't betting at this book anymore, even if they're the number one book in the country.
Adam Trigger joining us. Adam! No, Brian Power. Brian. Yeah. Well, I wanted Adam. I was like, why do we have to deal with Brian Power?
Oh, here
Brian,
we go.
Brian, you want to add to this conversation? You're calling for an outright boycott of DraftKings?
Amen to Teddy is what I have to say. That was a very good rant. And my only concern is consumers never stick up for themselves. So hopefully they can do it this time. I feel that, it always is like, yeah, man, this sucks. We need to stand up for ourselves. And then somehow we never stand up for ourselves. So hopefully, thanks to Teddy, we all do this time. And DraftKings drops what I think we would all agree is a terrible new policy.
Yeah, and Russell Deck writes, Teddy's got balls. Yeah, 2 of them. Prez, you don't. Yeah, I'm one of the owners of a very large company in the same space as DraftKings, and I really don't need to have a battle with a company that like DraftKings. I don't think WagerTalk wants to go to war with any of these companies. I completely agree with everything that Teddy is saying, and I think it is wrong, and I think it is disgusting, and I think it will fail. I just don't want to go as far as telling everyone to boycott.
Let me jump in, Lawrence. Why do you think it'll fail?
I think people will move. I think there'll be other options, and I think people will move from DraftKings. Yes,
that's our job.
Teddy, I don't like in all, like, with that said, it's not our job in that sense. Like, I give more credit to sports bettors. I mean, they can't be that stupid. If one book is minus 115 every day and another book is minus 110 every day, surely the sports bettors would recognize the importance of betting minus 110. So I think it'll happen naturally. Okay, let's make this whole show about DraftKings. You know what? Mr. Draft King. Okay. So, Bri, I had Kansas. Dan, I don't need your help, dude. I don't need your help. Yeah, dude, I got it. I'm just reeling. I'm reeling here. Mad at DraftKings. Brian, yesterday I had the Royals first 5. That was a push. Thank God. And especially considering I'm on a little bit of a run. Tonight they are playing the Red Sox. And again, like this Padres-Pittsburgh game, this is a very, very important game for both teams. And Boston is looking up at Kansas City right now. How are you betting this game?
Yeah, this is a game you can bet at DraftKings, or you don't have to bet at DraftKings. Up to you completely. But I get that the Royals guys off the loss, because they did, while you pushed, Prez, they lost the game, and they've been better at home all season, right? They've got Seth Lugo going tonight. So as a short favorite, maybe they're pretty attractive to some. But you also have to consider, gang, the Red Sox have been better on the road to that point this season. Minus 19 run differential at Fenway. It's actually minus 26 at Fenway when I'm not there. I caught a game there at Fenway last month, first time. That was fun. But the Red Sox have had more fun on the road this year, where they have a plus 56 run differential. Now I want to talk about Lugo. Yesterday on the Power 5, I said that I talked about fellow Royal starter Brady Singer. His expected ERA, a lot higher than his actual ERA. And what I talked about was that means he's likely due for negative regression down the stretch. Sure enough, Singer, they come out on the losing end, the Royals. Well, I feel the same way about Lugo. You look at Baseball Savant, guys. Lugo has an expected ERA of 3.85. That's more than a full run higher than his actual ERA. So he's a little lucky where his actual ERA is. Last start here at home, he was not lucky. He allowed 6 runs in a loss to the Cubs. Not that long ago, he faced the same Boston lineup. What happened? Gave up 5 runs. That was in Fenway. I just talked about how the Red Sox have been better on the road. 3rd highest scoring road team in baseball after they put 9 on the board last night. I'm not a huge believer in the Royals' pen either. Maybe you're not either, Prez. That's why you had him in the first 5 last night. As for Brian Bayo, starter for Boston here, the season-long numbers, Teddy, I will concede, are not great. But lately, the numbers have been much better. 3 runs or fewer allowed in 5 of his last 6 starts, including 4 straight. He's faced the Yankees, he's faced the Dodgers in that stretch, and he faced these same Royals. Red Sox won that game 5-4. Bayo allowed 3 runs in 6 1/3 there. It's a huge series, as you touched on, Prez, for Boston. They're 3 back of KC in the win column for that final wild card spot. I like the Sox at a plus price for the 2nd straight day.
7, 8, 9, 10, and 1. So the Red Sox have cashed 4 straight overs. They've cashed overs in 10 of their last 11. And since the All-Star break, 13-2 to the over. Why are we worried about sides in Boston games right now? Shouldn't we just play the over every night?
You could. That's an alternate way. Like I said, they have been better on the road, and that's where this game is. And I think there's going to be regression from Lugo. But again, Bayo's been better as of late. So I don't know. I liked the plus price. I'm not going to disagree with you on that over, Teddy. But in terms of the side, I think the Red Sox are the right side. I just like the plus price, and the direction the 2 starting pitchers are trending suggests to me that that's the better value on this game. But hey, if you're a totals guy and you want to play the over, I won't disagree with you there. I just think, me personally, when I broke this game down, the Red Sox as the side stuck out to me for all the reasons I listed above.
Brian Power joining us. We love having you on the show, Brian. You know that. That's why I take the piss, bro. Only bother people I love. Only tease people I care about. Indiana. Go ahead.
No,
That's
Teddy's
quite the
face
laugh.
when you said that was good. It was funny.
Oh.
Maybe he didn't want you to notice that. I apologize, Teddy.
I wasn't, honestly, Brian, I wasn't looking. Indiana, their win-loss record is a 5.5 on the season. You like over the total here. Tell us why.
Yeah, so you guys know, I'm sure everyone watching knows, historically speaking, Indiana's kind of been the doormat in the Big Ten. They finished 3-9 straight up last season, 9-27 straight up the last 3 seasons. So Tom Allen got shown the door, and that was probably for the best. His replacement, very high on, Curt Cignetti, brings a lot of enthusiasm to Bloomington. He also brings a strong track record of winning. He has been a head coach for 13 seasons. Do you know how many losing seasons he has had? That would be 0. He was 33-5 straight up at James Madison, turned them into a group of 5 power. Now, obviously, it's much harder to win the Big Ten than it is the Sun Belt, but the cupboard, not bare for Cignetti here at IU. Veteran team he's inheriting. I love the addition of Curtis Rourke at quarterback. In case you didn't know, Rourke comes from my alma mater, Ohio University, so you know he's a quality individual. Then you have to look at Indiana's schedule. It's much easier than last season. I think there's only 3 great teams in the Big Ten, for the record. Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State. Hoosiers avoid 2 of them, Oregon and Penn State. They do have to go to Columbus to face Ohio State, which will probably be a loss, okay? But it's a great situational spot for Indiana. They're off a bye, and Ohio State has Michigan on deck. Stranger things have happened. I don't know. Still, even if you want to count that as a loss, Teddy, I don't think Indiana has any issue getting to 6 wins and a bowl. They're going to be big favorites in all 3 non-con games. FIU, Western Illinois, Charlotte. All those teams stink. That should get us halfway there right there. Again, I don't think there's a lot of depth in the Big Ten. Indiana faces the 3 worst teams in this conference. Northwestern, Michigan State, Purdue. I think they can win all 3. That would put us at 6. Even if they lose one, they've got Maryland, Nebraska, Washington, Michigan, all coming to Bloomington. I know, oh my gosh, Washington and Michigan, they were in the college football playoff last year. Come on, guys. We all know those teams are going to be way down relative to last season. So I think this is an Indiana team, guys, that can win 8 games So I love them over 5.5, even as juiced as it is. I think it's minus 130 right now, most places.
So we look back at the last 30 years of Indiana football, and there was one 8-win season in 2019. Tom Allen built, I think it was 5 or 6 years for that year, and they were actually good that year. They were good the next year, in the COVID year as well. Since the COVID season, when the program's depth got really crushed, 2-10, 4-8, 3-9. When we look, obviously, at the history of the program, again, over the last 30 years, they had a couple of 6-win seasons. They had a 7-win season back in 2007. But that's it since 1993 when it comes to good years, winning years. This is just historically bad program. And all the teams you mentioned at the bottom of the Big Ten, aren't they looking at Indiana as a win, just like Indiana's looking at them as a win? Talk to me about the Hoosiers' history and why the first-year coach is the guy that's going to change 30 years of failure.
Well, that was the first thing I acknowledged because I had an inkling that might be your comeback here, Teddy. The history of Indiana. It's not good. My brother went to Indiana, by the way. Not that means anything to this handicap. But
not at all.
Look, Cignetti, yes. Okay, we can all agree on that one. Cignetti, though, I mean, this guy brings a lot of confidence. And like I said, Teddy, the cupboard's not bare here. Rourke is a great get from Ohio University. And look, history has a way of changing, right? I mean, the Big Ten, you just look at this conference outside of those top 3 teams. I don't think there's a team that Indiana can't beat in this conference. I don't see a lot of depth here. A lot of these teams aren't what they once were. To that point, Michigan and Washington, like I said, they're going to be nowhere close to what they were last year. Michigan State, it was a couple years ago. Yeah, they were real good. Remember, Mel Tucker got that extension. What's he doing now? Not coaching Michigan State. Northwestern, everyone thought they'd stink last year. They were a lot of it surprising. I think they bounced back. Purdue, that's the last game of the year. They're not good. I just think honestly, you look at the schedule and you said, a lot of these teams are going to look at Indiana and say, well, that's a win for us. I look at this Indiana schedule, Teddy, and other than that Ohio State game that I mentioned, I don't see a game where I say, and again, situationally, it's very favorable for them. They're not going to beat Ohio State, I don't think, but maybe they'll cover the spread. We'll talk again in November. But I think there's not a game other than Ohio State on this schedule that I look at where I'm like, oh, Indiana's definitely going to lose. So over 5.5 sounds like a good deal to me.
Brian Power, everyone. And like Mark Zinno, Brian also has a 5% max bet going today. It's just his 5th bet in that range, his 5th 5% play of the year, 3-1 record. Now, Bri, Jesse Shule is on listening to the show. You're here. Mark Zeno's probably listening. Adam Trigger is up next. If you see that another guest has a 5% play and you do as well, and both of you are on the show, might I suggest slacking customer service and asking for a combined package? Buy Mark Zinno and Brian Power for half the price, or buy 2, something. Think it. More sales, bro. More sales. And you know what more sales does for me? Well, I can't tell you because there are kids listening to this show. Brian Bauer, grab his 5% max bet. 5th of the season, 3-1, a record to date. Thanks for joining us, my friend. We love having you on this show. Teddy Covers, we got to keep the show moving along. It's time for your big game breakdown.
Big game breakdown. Of course, I too have a 5% play available right now in NFL preseason action. Get it for just $2. That's a $2 Tuesday handicapper at WagerTalk.com. Great opportunity if you've never bought before. Take a look, see what we can do. Check it out. Again, WT.buzz/TC for that $2 Tuesday 5% big ticket for NFLX action this weekend. And the trend is your friend when it comes to preseason football. Coaches have a plan for how they want to approach these games. Sometimes it'll change from season to season, but often it doesn't. Let's talk about the New York Football Giants, the Detroit Lions, Thursday night preseason action. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. The Giants minus 3.5 total. There's some variance here. There are 34.5s, there are 35.5s. I'm going to call the current line 35. You can shop around and get the best of the number, regardless of whether you want over or under. I'm going to make a case for the over. Why? The trend is your friend in preseason football. The Giants in the Brian DeBall era, let's see, 6-0 to the over the last 2 preseasons. The offense scored 20-plus in 5 of those 6 games. The defense allowed 20-plus in 5 of those 6 games. 19, by the way, in the 6th. So they've been an over machine in the last 2 years for Brian DeBall. The Lions, under Dan Campbell, 6-3 to the over in the last 3 preseasons. The defense allowed 16 or more in every game. The offense scored between 50 and 60 points in all 3 preseasons, 21 points and 23 points in week 1 over the last 2 years. Neither coach is game planning defense in August. Then we look at the quarterback rotations. What do we got? We got Hendon Hooker and Nate Sudfeld for Detroit, likely to get the lion's share, pun intended, of the snaps. Hooker was in the system last year. Sudfeld is exactly the type of QB you want on the field versus third-string defenses. He's a veteran, been in the league since 2017, and it's a legitimate backup QB battle here. We love that for overs. For the G-men, also a backup QB battle between Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito, both of whom are veteran QBs who started games last year. Yeah, 34.5, 35, even 35.5. If you can't get the best of the number, this game screams over. To this better, I do expect points on Thursday night. There's a big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Danny DeVito is a veteran QB?
Tommy DeVito.
I know it's Tommy DeVito, genius. We have a different definition of veterans. Teddy covers and his big game breakdown, everyone. Before we bring Adam Trigger in, I just want to say something quick. So my brother had some friends up at his cottage this right before I got there. One of the guys was named Shane Katz. My brother FaceTimed me, and Shane takes time out of his day every day to watch the show. And we enjoyed speaking with each other. And I want to say quickly, I don't care about celebrity. I don't care about being recognized. I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm way too old for that shit. But what I do care about is when you people take time out of your day to watch these shows. It honestly means the world to me. There are so many options online and on television and on the radio for you guys to get sports advice, betting advice, etc., etc. When you choose to listen to us on a daily basis, like Andrew and Frank and B Daddy and Boss and Tyler, and on and on and on and on and on and on, it just means the world to me personally, and I know it does to Teddy as well. So thank you. And Shane, shout out, my brother. Lots of love. Teddy covers. If you like the show, will you take a second and hit the like button for us, please?
I'll do it right now. It's so easy. All you got to do is go click there. Done.
Whoa. Excellent. Adam Trigger joining us. Adam, how are you, man?
I can't complain because NFL preseason starts this week, and it's 3 of my favorite weeks of football of the year. I'll go as far as to say I like it more than the playoffs. I know it's an outrageous statement, but I could back it up if you wanted me to back it up.
Well, I don't need you to back it up. The word like has an interesting definition. I'm sure you like it from a money-winning perspective. But I got to just jump in before we get into your segment, because I forgot to mention. Rich Filkins writes, Prez, thank you for the Noah Lyles plus 170 pick. Lots of love, Rich. I gave out 2 Olympic bets, Teddy, 2 since the Olympics started, and both of them cashed. Noah Lyles was an insane winner. What did you want to say?
I said, so we had an over-under of half a minute that I was going to watch the Olympics, and so far the under's cashing.
You do you, bro. I'm obsessed with the Olympics. And women beach volleyball. Adam Trigger, let's go, bro. White Sox against the Athletics. How are we betting this game?
Yeah, first off, shout out to Rich Filkins. He also came to our meet and greet in at Turning Stone back in March. So what's up, Rich? White Sox, A's. Someone had to come on here and talk about this game. We're witnessing history at this point. The White Sox have now lost 21 straight. They're in pursuit of, I believe it's the Phillies' all-time longest losing streak in the history of Major League Baseball. Some insane numbers that came out that are coming out of this streak. The White Sox have gone 47 innings without holding a lead at the end of an inning. Believe the last time they led an inning at the end of an inning was like over a week ago. I think it was last Tuesday. And they have not won a game since July 10th when they beat the Twins in the first game of a doubleheader. But I still think they're the right side tonight, and I'm going to explain why. So, you're looking at their offensive numbers right now. They're horrible. 3 runs a game, 3.07 runs a game is the worst mark in Major League Baseball. But you're going to start seeing some different guys in the lineup. They acquired Miguel Vargas from the Dodgers. They called up Brooks Baldwin from AAA Charlotte. He's got a bright future ahead of him, in my opinion. And as these guys get some big league at bats, I think they're going to get this offense to be slightly more productive than it is now, which is important because, anything more than what they're doing right now offensively is a huge boost. Now, on the as far as pitching is concerned today, the White Sox are far and away in better shape than the A's are from a pitching perspective. Jonathan Cannon is very, very good. This guy is a third-round pick out of Georgia in the 2022 draft. He started the season at AAA, where I was very high on him. I watch a ton of AAA. He's a guy expected to be able to make some money with in AAA baseball this year. But, when teams are out of it as early as the White Sox are, they say to hell with it. Let's get him up. Let's see what he's got. He got called up on April 17th, was okay, went back down to AAA for a brief period of time. But since he's been recalled in June, and we see this with prospects sometime, go look at what Jackson Holliday's been doing lately. Since he's been recalled in June, he's been fantastic. In July, he posted a 3.48 ERA, 1.23 whip. He went 6 or more innings in every single start. Last time out, he gave up 1 hit over 7 innings. It was a game that I had White Sox plus 1.5, and they lost 4-3. So cashed with him in his most recent start. And I expect him to be very, very good against the A's again here. Remember, this is an A's lineup that's never seen him. Charlotte and Las Vegas are in different sides of AAA. So I don't think anyone in this A's lineup has ever had any exposure to him. And he's got a sweeper that moves, and he's a tough one to crack the first time you're seeing him. So I think the A's could be at a big-time disadvantage for that reason. As far as Ross Stripling is concerned, he's not a big league starter at this point in his career. He's fine for organizational depth, but he's just, even against the White Sox, not a big league starter. The A's have lost 10 of his 13 starts this year. 5.64 ERA, 1.52 whip. He's going to be 35 in the fall. I just don't think he really belongs in the big league rotation. If you're going to give me White Sox plus 1.5 and make it affordable, I got to take a shot with that. The A's money continues to pour in, guys. It's probably going to pour in all day. And if this gets down to like White Sox plus 1.5, minus 115 or minus 120, it's probably going to be on my card again today.
So I just got to ask, why? I mean,
I think he literally just explained it.
No,
17
I think
minutes.
what Teddy's saying
Lawrence,
is why mess with the 21-game losing streak?
So when we look at the 21-game losing streak, and they 5 times during that span they've lost by a single run. We're talking about the worst team in baseball on a historically bad run. And you're not, it's like, don't you want to see them maybe win a game, end this skid? Are we trying to catch a falling knife here?
So, Teddy, every single game to me is its own entity, right? Like, now, personally, I bet the White Sox 4 times since July 10th, which was their most recent win. I'm 2-2 in those games. I had the plus 1.5 twice. It won. I had the plus 1.5 2 other times. It lost, including last night. So for me personally, I don't really care that they've lost 21 straight because I didn't bet all 21 of those games. And then the other thing is, in the history of Major League Baseball, we've only had a team lose 22 games one time, right? Like, so they probably have a win coming in their future, just like they may luck their way into a win. But in this situation, I think the matchup actually favors the White Sox, because on the back end for the A's, this is a bullpen that no longer has Mason Miller. He's injured. Urseg got traded to the Royals. So, really you're looking at an A's team that's 20 games under 500. That's a $2 favorite with a starting pitcher that probably shouldn't be at the big league level right now. He's a veteran organizational depth guy. If you go back to last night's game, JP Sears is a legit MLB starter. So there's a big difference between last night and tonight in the terms of the starting pitcher for the A's. Whereas the White Sox, you're getting a better starter. Kai Busch has some upside as a prospect, but Cannon's been doing it all season this year, and he's been doing it pretty good. So, like, if I was on the White Sox last night at -120 on the +1.5, I almost have to be on them here based on that thought process.
Adam Trigger, let's get into some NFLX. No follow-up as we're running late. Try to keep this under 6 hours. Colts and Broncos. How are you betting this game?
Yeah, so like Teddy, NFL preseason is very much like reading the clippings, coaching and motivation, and I think that you can just sort of, it's almost like a systematic type play when certain things line up. In this case, Shane Steichen, I think, could end up being a pretty good preseason coach. We don't have a huge sample. He was only 2-1 in his first year in preseason football. But I vividly remember, Prez, I was 6-2 in the preseason last year, 15 units of profit. And one of my losses was the Bears against the Colts, when the Colts' third stringers or fourth stringers put up 17 points in the fourth quarter of a game to beat the Bears. Steichen was coaching to win that game. I was sure of it. And I think he just might be the guy that likes to win in the preseason. On the other side, you've got Sean Payton, 30-33 career in the preseason. But sometimes these veteran coaches start to care less as their career goes on. He's only 9-16 in NFL preseason since 2015. And only one of those years he's had a winning season. As far as like the game plan is concerned, I liked what I read about the Colts in the respect that they're going to use a more tight end heavy offense. I think it might make it easier to run their plays now, since it's probably going to be a little bit of a vanilla play calling. More tight ends mean you're going to be able to probably run the ball more. On the other side, I think the Broncos are going to make more changes to their offense. They were catering to Russ Wilson in the past. They don't have to do that anymore, but it might take them a little bit longer to get that that system in place. So, all things considered, I just think it's a good bet on the Colts. I think they're more ready to play this weekend, and I think Steichen's more likely to coach to win. So give me the Colts at a round of pick. I think it's -125 right now in most places.
Adam Trigger, everybody. And last year in preseason, Adam went 6-2. He knows what he's talking about. What do you have to promote?
Yeah, so check out that August special, because you get, that's for all handicappers, but you get the entire month of August for free if you buy September and October. And for me, that gets you the whole preseason. Like I said, 6-2 in last year's preseason, 15 units of profit in football before the season even started. And I expect to have 8 to 10 preseason plays again this year. So all of those will be covered in that special, which is good through August 11th, as you see right there on your screen.
Brilliant, Adam Trigger. Okay, guys, real quick before we end the show, tomorrow's guests, Marco D'Angelo, Jesse Shule, and Andrew McGinnis. There will be no big game breakdown from Teddy tomorrow. After the Marco segment, and likely with Marco, and perhaps Jesse will add his thoughts when he comes on, Teddy and I are going to tackle how to bet NFL preseason conceptually. This is a long topic, a juicy topic, and a very, very important topic. There are tricks to betting the NFL preseason, and Teddy and myself are going to delve into that on tomorrow's show. So make sure to hit that bell, subscribe to our channel, and join us, because that will be an incredibly interesting topic. Teddy, fun show, man. Shout out to Zinno Power and the Trigster. Take us home.
Yeah, and of course, don't forget $2 Tuesday, NFL preseason, a 5% winner available right now at WagerTalk.com. It's backed by a 100% perfect under-the-radar 10-0 angle that's been cashing winning bets in NFL preseason action since 2019. That's going to wrap it for the Tuesday edition. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. Between now and tomorrow's show, enjoy the games and best of luck with all your bets.